review of Library Resources tutorial. My name is Amber Woodard and I'm the Reference and Instruction Librarian at the VISE Library. This tutorial is going to show you how to find articles by using three different methods. First, by using medical subject headings, or MESH, in the database PubMed. Next, by using CINAHL headings in the database CINAHL. Finally, by using MESH in the database Medline. I'm also going to show you a couple of ways to find full-text articles if you're unable to find them in these databases by using the A to Z Resource Locator and Interlibrary Loan Services. All of the resources I'm going to talk about are available on the Nursing LibGuide. There are two different ways to get to the guide. First, you can go to the library's website and click on the Subject Guide link, then click Nursing. You can also go directly to the guide by going to cumberland.libguides.com/nursing. We have LibGuides for different subjects and topics. The Nursing LibGuide is a collection of articles, web resources, tutorials, and print journals that the library has related to nursing. Before you start your research, it's a good idea to know what search terms you're going to use and what you're searching for. This may seem obvious, but a lot of students come to the library and say they need an article, but then they don't really know or care what they find. This is one of the best ways to ensure that you'll get frustrated. You don't have to have a super defined research topic, but you do need to have a general idea of what you're looking for. If you have something too narrow, you'll also get frustrated. If you have something too broad, you'll probably get overwhelmed with resources. The best way to go about researching is to have something moderately broad, then narrow it down based on search results and limiters that are in the databases, which we'll look at in a few minutes. Sounds easy enough, right? When you have a topic in mind, the first thing you should do when conducting nursing research is to find the controlled vocabulary that the database uses. Controlled vocabulary allows you to use consistency in research, reduce spelling errors, get more precise results, and help the database know what you're really looking for. For example, if you're doing research on Saturn but don't use controlled vocabulary, the database may not know if you mean the planet or the car. This is why you sometimes get results that seem completely irrelevant to what you're searching. So, how do you figure out what controlled vocabulary to use? That's where MESH terms come in. MESH terms are determined by the United States National Library of Medicine, so they are compiled by experts. If I want to find the MESH term for the topic that I'm researching, then I'm going to use PubMed. I can access PubMed by going to the Find Articles tab in the Nursing LibGuide. Once I'm on the home page, I can use the pull-down menu at the top of the page or choose the MESH database link under the More Resources heading. When you use MESH, you can put in your search terms without having to know any medical language up front. I've decided that I want to research flu shots and their effects. The first thing I'm going to do is put flu in the search box at the top of the page. And when I do, I get a list of results that include the phrase influenza vaccines. When I click on that, it brings me to an entry that defines my term and gives me subheadings as additional search options. Since I want to know about the effects of the flu shots, I'll click the checkbox next to Adverse Effects, then click the Add to Search Builder button on the right side of the page. There's a box next to the Add to Search Builder button that contains a pull-down menu with the words and, not, or. These are called Boolean operators, and they help string together complicated searches. The most common Boolean operator is AND, which joins terms together and searches for all of them together. Not is used when you want to exclude something from your search. So if I wanted to know about the adverse effects, but not the radiation effects, I would change the box to not, click the radiation effects checkbox, then click the Add to Search Builder button again. Or lets you expand your search and search for a lot of different things at the same time. It's different from AND because it will return results with any of the search terms you use rather than results with all of the terms together. OR is good to use if you're fishing for ideas and want to see what all is out there. I could use OR if I was interested in learning about adverse effects or therapeutic uses of influenza vaccinations. Once I've determined which Boolean operators I want to use, then I'll click on the Search PubMed button. This gave us almost 2,300 results, which is way too many to search through. Also, some of these don't have full text access, which means that you wouldn't be able to read the entire article here just by clicking on it. So let's choose the link on the left side of the page that says Free Full Text Available. And when we click on it, that takes us down to 491 results. You can narrow these results down even further with the menus on the left side of the page. So, for example, you could get results that are only in English, that were published within the last 5 years, or that contain clinical trials. If you scroll down the page, you will see more ways to narrow your results. Now let's take a look at a library database. We're going to look at CINAHL. To get to CINAHL, we'll go back to the Nursing LibGuide, then click on the CINAHL link. The first thing we're going to look at in CINAHL is CINAHL headings, which are based off of mesh terms. There will be similarities between mesh terms and CINAHL headings, but they may not be exactly the same. First, we'll click the CINAHL headings link at the top of the page. Then we'll input our search term again, flu, and click Search. The results list here looks pretty similar to PubMed, but there are a couple of differences. On the right side, there are 3 columns. The first column is Explode, which will expand the main topic and show related subheadings. The second column is Major Concept. When you check a box in this column, then it limits your search results to those where your topic is a major concept of the article, rather than one of many concepts that may be mentioned throughout the article. The final column is Scope. If you click on the small speech bubble, then you'll get information about the term Scope Note. This will show you how the database defines the term and what results you may get when you use the term. It's a good idea to check Scope Notes just to make sure you're on the right track with your research. I want to focus on flu shots again, so I will click the Influenza Vaccine checkbox, and when I do, the subheadings pop up on the right side of the page. The subheadings also have scope notes, so you can see more information about them. I want to focus on adverse effects, so I'll click the checkbox, and when I do, my terms go into the search builder on the right side of the page. You can add more subheadings to this search if you want by clicking the checkboxes next to the subheadings you want to search. You can also add more search terms by clicking on the Browse Additional Terms link at the bottom of the page. For this search, we're only going to focus on adverse effects, so we'll go ahead and click the Search Database button on the right side of the page. This search gave us 460 results. Let's do a couple of things to narrow down these results. First, let's click on the Full Text checkbox on the left side of the page. This will limit our results to the full text of articles rather than summaries and abstracts. Next, we'll also limit our results to articles with references available. This is the same thing as limiting to scholarly articles. Scholarly, or peer-reviewed articles, are those written by an expert and then sent to other experts to be reviewed for quality and accuracy. These articles usually have footnotes, references, or both. and they're always written by someone with credentials, so you receive expert knowledge rather than just an opinion about your topic. Scholarly articles may also have long, possibly dry sounding titles and will be several pages long. So when you click the References Available box, you are limiting your search results to those peer reviewed or scholarly articles. Finally, we're also going to limit our search to items written in the last 10 years. Your professor may not require specific dates on your research, but often in nursing research, the more current the information is, the better off you'll be. When we click Update, we see that our results list went from 460 to 20, which is much more manageable when you're a busy student. If you still receive too many results to go through, then you could scroll down the page and use the Subject Major Heading menu on the left side of the page to get ideas for additional search terms. Not all databases on the Nursing Lab Guide will have these subject headings, but you can use the same search principles in the other databases to help you conduct more focused research. The final database we're going to look at is Medline. Medline is a bibliographic database, which means that it's not necessarily going to have the full text of articles. However, it may be a good place to conduct background research on the literature about a topic. And, as I said earlier, I'll show you a couple of ways to try to find access to the full text of articles you may find here or in PubMed. But for now, let's look at searching in Medline. You can get to Medline by going to the Nursing Lab Guide in the Find Articles tab, then scrolling down the page. We'll start on the Advanced Search menu of Medline and put in the search term influenza vaccine and change the search menu to mesh heading. You don't have to do a mesh heading search, but I'm going to in this case since we know what the heading is. This gives us about 416 results that aren't full text. But if you click on a title, you can see the abstract of an article and decide whether or not it is something you want to look for in full text elsewhere. There is a way to limit results in Medline to items that are just available in the Cumberland Library. However, this will usually just show what we have here in print rather than an electronic format. If you find something you want and we have print access, you can either stop by the library and we'll help you find it, or you can send me an email and I'll see if I can scan it and send it to you. To limit our search to items available in print in the library, let's go back to the Advanced Search page, put in our search term again, change it to mesh heading, then scroll down to the bottom of the page. Here you will see a box next to Limit Availability to. You may also notice that there is a full text checkbox above this section. There is a database called Medline Full Text, but unfortunately the VISE library does not have access to it. So if you click this full text checkbox, you'll likely get 0 results. That's just something to keep in mind while you're doing a search in Medline. Once we have clicked our search button, this takes us to 19 results from 416. And all of these are available in the library's print collection. Some of these may also be available electronically, so let's take a look at how to find out whether an article is available in full text electronically in the library. The article we're going to focus on is called The Age-Old Struggle Against the Anti-Vaccinationists. It was published in the New England Journal of Medicine on January 13th, 2011. When searching for the full text of your article, keep the information about your article handy, such as the title, the source, and the publication date. If we go back to the Nursing Lab Guide, we'll see a box on the left side of the page called Library Resources. Every guide should have this box, and the contents are the same. The third link on this box is called A to Z Resource Locator, which is a way to search through the library's electronic journal holdings to see what we have access to. Since we know the information about our article, We can put the article source in the search box, the New England Journal of Medicine, then click Search. A to Z searches through journal titles, so it's important to have that information available. Once you've clicked Search, you'll get a list of databases that contain the journal, along with the dates we have access to. If you see something that says embargo, like it does here, then that means we don't have access to the most current 3 months, 6 months, or whatever the embargo time period is. Keep that in mind when you're searching. If you have a very recent article, it may not be available in a database yet. In our case, though, since the article we want is from January 2011, we should be okay. We'll go ahead and click on the ProQuest Central link, and that will take us to the screen where we can search for our article. Scroll to the bottom of the page, and then click on the 2000 through 2012 link, then January 13th. This may seem like a complicated process, but it will bring us to the full text of the article that we saw the abstract for in Medline. Once you've clicked on the date, you will be taken to a list of the articles in the journal you've selected. In this case, our article results are in page number order, so the article we're looking for is the first one on the list. If I want to read the full text of it, I just need to click on the title of the article. The A to Z resource locator may not always work for you. For this tutorial, I made sure to pick an example that would work so you could see what it would look like. If you try this and it doesn't work, there is another option for receiving the full text of an article, but it involves borrowing it from another library, so you will need to allow yourself enough time to receive the article. This may not be the best option if you've waited until the last minute for your research. However, if you do have time to wait for an article from another library, go to the Nursing Lib Guide and back to the Library Resources box on the left side of the page and click the Interlibrary Loan link. This will take you to another Lib Guide that gives you information about interlibrary loan services. The Request an Item tab contains a form that you can fill out. After you fill out this form, you should receive an email confirmation from the Interlibrary Loan Librarian within 2 days. Again, this process may take up to 2 weeks, so make sure you have plenty of time. Interlibrary loan is almost always a free service. If we cannot find the article from a library for free, we will contact you and see if you are willing to pay a fee before we request it. We will never charge you without your permission. This concludes our tutorial. If you have questions about any information in the tutorial or anything related to library research, please contact me. I can be reached by email awoodard@cumberland.edu, by telephone 615-547-1302, or you can chat with me by going to the Nursing Lib Guide and then using the Digsby widget box on the right side of the page. Thank you, and good luck with your research.